This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. Right now on JList, they have all new Japanese Kit Kat flavors. We all know that Japan has dozens of different Kit Kat flavors that we don't have anywhere else in the world, but now there are even more all new types of Kit Kats to choose from, including Nestle's Easter Kit Kat, the Nuts and Cranberry Kit Kat, Cherry Blossom Kit Kats, and the Ruby Kit Kat. And right now on JList, if you use the promo code AAA at checkout, you'll get $10 off any order of $50 or more. Again, that is the promo code AAA for $10 off. Welcome, everybody, to the 472nd episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. I am your host, Mitsugi, and I am joining you from a sweltering, absolutely just suffocating St. Petersburg, Florida, where the temperature is nearly 100 degrees. And I am joined by the crew. We've got the lovely Mandy. She's up in Cincinnati. What's up?
Hello. I am so excited to be here and talk about Pokemon.
Pokemon is...
Yeah. Happy to see everybody.
It's a wonderful thing, Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we do not have Enzo or Kazuo today because today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And, people want to spend time with their mothers. But so instead, we have a fill-in. The wonderful, the very velvety voiced Dojima is joining us. Dojima, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
I'm doing great, except my air conditioner in my house cannot keep up with the temperature outside. Where are you calling in from, Dojima?
I'm calling from the wonderful shaded place of Pennsylvania.
The rolling hills and moderate weather.
And
jealous.
Lots of trees.
Of course, you can find us at our website, AAAPodcast.com. If you want to join us, help support the podcast, and get 8 additional episodes of content per month, you can do it over at AAAPodcast.com/join. We just recorded a Hobby Addicts episode where we sort of ran down the games that we were all playing recently, including a horror visual novel game that Mandy talked about.
Yeah, Death Mark.
Death Mark.
It was an interesting game.
And when you're marked for death and you don't have the right companion, your ass is dead.
Pretty much.
Listener, beware. You're in for a scare.
Ooh, nice. Of course, we also do our hentai episodes, so if you want to feel naughty, have lots of swear words, and have to wear headphones for sure, you can get our hentai episodes, and we'll be doing an after party after the podcast today. So again, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We all have a mother. It's a fact, and
we do. And Happy Mother's Day to Icy, who's the podcast mom.
Oh,
he always keeps us all on track.
Ice. There you go.
Ice mommy.
Ice mommy. How true it is. Thank you, Icy Rose, for all that you do and for being all of our moms. It's not easy. All right. Well, we have a jam-packed episode today. I should say actually that we have our Discord running as well, of course. And if you want to attend the manga clubs and the watch parties, I was in a watch party earlier today where we were watching really bad 80s anime, which was fun. Mandy, what are you guys doing on your manga club, and when do you hold that?
Oh, yeah. So Manga Club right now, we are reading With the Light, and that will be this Wednesday, the 15th. If you're currently listening, then you have enough time. If this comes out like on Thursday, then you might have to come to the next one. But that will be Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time, so Eastern Standard Time. So if you go to our Discord and go to the Manga Club chat, you can find out all the information there if you look at the pinned messages.
I want to ask Dojima a couple questions here, just so people, learn a thing or two. Where does the name Dojima come from exactly? Did you just pull that out of the air, or did you have does that originate from somewhere?
It actually originates from, there's a particular game series called Way of the Samurai that I absolutely fell in love with, and it has a particular blacksmith that's the best blacksmith of any video game ever, and his name is Gun Dojima, and from that point on, it was just any time that I think of Dojima, even though Persona 4, that name is often referred to, I more or less just continually think about the blacksmith because he's completely awesome. Would totally marry him.
Whoa. He is your husbando.
Yes, he is.
So can you rattle off a few of your favorite anime real quick for us, so that people listening can see where you sort of align on your tastes? I'm kind of
Oh,
curious.
good. This gives me time to eat my banana.
Ooh.
Talk away.
All right. For the most part, I happen to really enjoy anime like Ghost in the Shell, Rurouni Kenshin. Let's see. I also happen to really enjoy, I believe, I haven't watched much of Samurai Champloo, but I really enjoyed that too. And
No moe shit though. Yeah, I haven't heard you talk about any moe.
no,
moe.
not really.
Yeah. Good for you. There's hope for you. There's hope. How long have you been?
And of course, Dragon Ball Z. Sorry about that.
Yeah. How long have you been watching anime? Are you like way back? Are you a Toonami kid from way back?
Oh yeah, I would have to say the point of where I finally, and especially with the experience of the internet, where I was finally self-aware and fully aware of what anime was probably around, I'd say, 2005. But for the most part, it was just, it looked like cartoons. Going all the way back, it was like Pokemon, Sailor Moon, that sort of stuff.
All right, cool. Well, you know what? We're really glad to have you here with us today.
We are. Thanks for coming.
We have a ridiculously jam-packed episode, so I hope you enjoy sitting in with us. And today we're going to be talking about the Detective Pikachu movie, which just came out. And of course, we have a whole bath full of impressions to do with you. Our third round of impressions for the spring season. We're going to be doing Mix, Meisei Story, Fairy Gone. What is this? Ao-chan cannot study, I guess. Fruits Basket and Robi Hachi. So we're going to get to all those. We have 4 more anime to pass from the spring season, and I don't know how many of these will pass, but we're going to find out. So since we're so jam-packed today, let's hop right to it.
Wait, did you say Fruits Basket?
Yeah, Fruits Basket.
Okay.
It's time for big news of the week.
Before we start, I want to just say one more time that we do have a promo code for jlist.com. If you want to use the promo code, they are measuring this promo code. So it would be nice if it got used. So that would probably benefit us a lot. The promo code.
I didn't hear you say Fruits Basket, and for a second I got worried. I was like, wait. That's what I prepared myself for. Okay, good. Prices are
The promo code is AAA. It's for you get $10 off any order of $50 or more over at jlist or jbox.com. And if you use that promo code, we might get to keep our sponsor. So that would be good. So that's why I thought I would drop that and be very real with you.
So go forth, spend, purchase, and use the AAA code.
Yeah, go buy a Nendoroid or something and then get $10 off. So
or something real naughty.
Yeah, or some dirty.
Because that site has a lot of dirty stuff. Dirty
magazines, dirty figures, dirty games, dirty food, whatever. I don't know. Go have fun, explore. So 2 major trailers dropped this week, I think, or recently, and there are mixed reactions to both of these trailers. The first of which is the Sonic trailer. So I'm just gonna run through a couple of these sorts of like talking points, and then we'll give our thoughts on the trailer. Of course, the Sonic movie is a Paramount Pictures film. It's coming out on November 8th. It's coming out in Japan in December, and I say that because for once we get something first, which is interesting.
Yeah, for real.
So the reactions to the trailer were not real good. Mostly due to Sonic's design. So we're in an age
terrifying.
He is borderline nightmare fuel, I would say.
Yeah.
We're in an age now where the world is so internet connected that something like a bad design that makes its way all over the internet can just destroy your product before it even comes out. And so there's been comments made by Yuji Naka, who is the head of Sonic of Team Sonic, and he said he was shocked. He thought that the design of the character might hurt the brand of Sonic. Naoto Oshima, the character designer of Sonic originally, wasn't real happy about it either. He said he was worried about it. And so, in reaction to those 2 individuals and the internet largely as a whole, director Jeff Fowler promised that the design would totally change before the film was released on November 8th, which, by the way, is not even 6 months from now. And so, which, Naoto Oshima and Naka and Yuji Naka were both very happy about that. But then the internet got on the director's ass because it seems impossible to redo the whole design of Sonic. So, including the director of the Pikachu movie, Rob Letterman, weighed in on the situation and said that, quote, "It would be very difficult for us to redesign anything. We spent a year designing all the characters ahead of shooting so that we could get it all right. If we were off by an inch on Pikachu, the actor Justice Smith's performance would go right out the window. For us, it would have been impossible. But that doesn't mean they can't do it. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. They're in a very difficult spot." So, how do you guys feel? I know we've all seen this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you feel about it?
It looks terrifying. I think it's the teeth. The teeth really bug me. I don't know. He has like human teeth.
The eyes.
Yeah, the eyes too.
It honestly looks like it could be a train wreck, an absolute train wreck, a 50-car pileup, and part of me just wants to see it happen, but at the same time, I really would love to see something much better out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
sorry. I was gonna say I've seen a lot of people doing like conspiracy theories, like, oh, they had a real design the entire time. They're just using this as a way to like kick up a shitstorm,
Oh, they're bullshitting for the trailer.
Yeah, they're bullshitting everyone. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see.
See, my thing is that the movie looks so bad in just so many ways that it could be one of the worst movies ever made. And so it's just, why bitch about it? Just let it happen. It's already, it's toast at this point. I mean, Sonic is like doing like leg stretches and stuff out on a freeway while they play Gangster's Paradise in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And, he looks half human. He's got little human fingers, and it's just so weird looking. You got Jim Carrey, who, by the way, might be the only thing in the movie that ends up being any good.
Yeah.
Like playing Dr. Robotnik and just being full. They basically said, be Jimmy boy, be yourself in this movie. And he's just like straight, he's just channeling straight like Ace Ventura from like the 90s. And
yeah, I noticed that.
And it just looks so just terrible. I just don't know how else to put it. But I don't know how they can't redesign the whole damn movie. I mean, it doesn't seem feasible.
I can only think of one way of where they might be able to essentially fix the model, but it just might be where they take a model from a game and just plant it right in at that spot. But at the same time, it's just going to look so off. I mean, we've been through Dragon Ball Evolution. I think we can get through this too. It's just sad.
Yeah, there's probably no saving the movie. I mean, I honestly think that the issues go beyond the character design of Sonic himself. That's what everybody's fixated on because we're used to seeing Sonic a certain way, and people were saying, "Oh, he's supposed to wear white gloves and he's supposed to have shoes." Like, they're right. Like, Sonic always wears white gloves. He always has shoes. For him to have little white fingers is weird. For him to have, feet is weird. And to have human teeth and eyes is weird. So,
yeah.
But is he addicted to chili dogs in this one?
That is the question.
Oh.
Well, it looked like they changed his addiction to chili dogs to addiction to shoes in the trailer. Like, he had just a collection
product placement.
Oh my god, yeah. Although I don't know that I want to have my product associated with this movie, to be honest.
True.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I really want to see the movie. I'm a big fan of Sonic. Sonic was a huge part of my childhood, and I love him to death. I'll hug every Sonic mascot I see in Japan every time.
Aww.
But yeah, I just Sonic is actually the second highest selling game franchise of all time behind Super Mario. And some people don't realize that, but it's true. And this movie isn't gonna ruin Sonic. It's not possible at this point. So Sonic is one of the biggest figures in video games, and has been and always will be. So, but the movie does look terrible. So I just wonder how much money they spent on this train wreck. Like $150 million train wreck.
No idea. I didn't look into that. I'll let you see that, and then you can tell me about it.
Well, I'm going to see it, so I'll be talking about it.
Good.
All right.
The Final Fantasy VII trailer came out, a longer, more official trailer, I think. And I'm sure we watched this as well. How did you guys feel about this?
I'll believe it when I see it. That's basically it. I have no proof that it's still going to come out, so I don't know.
I certainly hope for the best. I mean, I'm very interested. It looks like they're experimenting with a lot rather than just going with some traditional elements. But I mean, hey.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to put in the 15's battle system into this one. It looks like, yeah.
And Barrett isn't a thick, blocky tank that he was in the PS1 adaptation. He seems
they Barrett down a little.
Yeah. He's still pretty muscular, but they made him less of a tank or a box.
This game is it's so far off that they're, according to the internet, we're hoping that we'll get a release date this year. Which means that, I mean, I don't even know if we'll get that. You know, E3, maybe we'll get a release date. But I think it's still pretty far off. I thought the trailer actually looked gorgeous.
Yeah. It looks beautiful. I am very concerned with their plans for releasing it in sections, so that really worries me. I think they're still on the idea that they're going to release it in parts. So you'll they'll release part 1, and then I don't know, farther on down the line they'll release part 2. That worries me. Like
how they did Final Fantasy 13.
Did they do 13? Well, no, I thought it was all going to be. I don't know. I thought 13 was like the first game was the entire game, right? And then they just added on additional parts to the story. I thought this one they're like actually cutting the entire thing up into 3 parts.
Well, I mean,
because I thought I could be wrong because I didn't play any 13, 2 or 3. I couldn't even get through 13.
So I played all 3 of them, and I'm sad to say that I platinumed all 3 of them, which is a sad moment of my life. But they did find a way to tie that story together, although I will say that by the end of the 3rd game, it had sunk to like Kingdom Hearts level convolution.
Yeah, because didn't some time progress between those?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you did massive time
I thought this
travel.
one, it's literally going to end at a part where it's like, see you next time. That's what I thought.
There was massive time traveling happening in that game.
Gotcha.
Well, that kind of makes me worried about for the remake if we're going to be left waiting for like 3 to 4 months or maybe even half a year or a year until the next parts get churned out. I would honestly rather it be held back but perfected and then released as the whole entire thing all in one go for everyone to enjoy.
I think I could be wrong, but I think they're combining all of the story that has happened so far, like the Final Fantasy VII movie and all of the other side games, like the what was the one with the shooting one? What was that one called? Code.
There's like Dirge of Cerberus.
Dirge of Cerberus, that one, yeah. And the one that about Cloud's past before Final Fantasy VII. I think
there's too
they're
much
doing
of this shit now.
Stuff. I think Zach was in it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
so
I think they're combining all of that. So maybe the story's so big, they're like, we can't fit this all into one.
I mean, it makes sense to me because they're going to triple their revenue by breaking it into 3 pieces. It also may be that the game is just so massive that we'd be waiting 7 more years for it, and maybe they feel like we'd rather get it, get this one in 2 years and wait 2 years to get the next one, and wait another 2 years. I'm sure that's debatable. There are probably people that would rather wait all 6 years and just pay for one game. Or then there are people that would rather play some of it now and not have to wait, 6 more years to play it. So I'm kind of actually in the camp where I'd rather play some of it now, But it makes sense to me. I mean, it may be a project that's so big that they know they can't actually make profit on it unless they break it into pieces, and nobody releases a game for $150. So,
Right.
but I thought it looked gorgeous. The graphics were just mind blowing, like Final Fantasy pretty much always is. The designs looked super accurate. Eris looked gorgeous in it.
Oh yeah.
Cloud will look even hotter than her when he's dressed up in his like girl outfit for Dawn.
Oh, when he goes on a date with Barrett.
No, when Don Corneo or whatever brings him into his mansion to be like a call girl or whatever. Do you remember that section of the game?
Oh,
it's really
yes,
early.
that's right. No, later on you can go on a date with Barrett.
Yeah. yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
At the Golden Saucer.
Yeah.
So I thought the voice work seemed okay. I mean, we didn't get to hear much of it, but I don't know. For me, I'm not really interested in playing a Final Fantasy 15 or Kingdom Hearts or Tales of whatever RPG like battle system. I'm not into these games where I'm just button mashing because it's just not interesting. Like, why would I play a game where I just mash the X button like 40 times? It's just those games are never going to appeal to me. You know, I'm playing Dragon Quest. I'm playing Dragon Quest 11 right now, and I'm enjoying it far more because it's turn based. But I know that I'm not in the majority anymore on that. I think that the old school gamers want turn based, and the new players would rather tear their eyes out than play that. So, I mean, Final Fantasy 15 has sold a trillion copies, so I'm clearly in the minority. But yeah, personally, I just wanted them to make the same damn game and make the graphics a little better. That would have been fine. Like, it could have had the Resident Evil 1 treatment where it was the same game with the graphics brought up to standard. I didn't need to have the whole thing rebuilt from the ground up, including the battle system. So, I wanted less, and they're giving me less by giving me more.
I would like to know if they're going to bring materia back. So now I
they
know.
have to.
Don't get rid of water breathing.
They have to. I mean, the materia.
Fix it this time.
The materia was a crucial aspect of the story. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it could be that you don't use it to fight, but that would really piss me off. Wow.
I'm gonna know the passcode for the spaceship. When you're up in outer space and you have to put in the passcode to get the weapon materia.
We know that
I also failed that my first time.
if you want to fight the emerald weapon, you need the breathing materia. So
Yeah, that one too.
no matter how much money they offer you for it, don't you sell it.
I'll try not to, or destroy it. I don't remember what I did. Somehow I did not have it.
It makes me wonder what they're going to do with Summons then, if they're revamping the entire combat system.
Don't know. I know nothing about it. So,
Well, I guess we'll see.
yeah, and in 2026 when it comes out. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else here?
Nope.
I'm good.
Okay.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
Couple big ones here. Non Non Biyori is getting a third season.
Yeah, a lot of people are excited about this.
Yeah, a lot of people. It's a Silver Link show. So Silver Link did the prior two seasons of the anime. The story takes place in the countryside where the nearest bookstore is about 20 minutes away by bicycle, and a certain it's basically Jump magazine, like Shonen Jump, but they don't really say that. Comes out on Wednesdays instead of Mondays, and the video rental store is 10 stations away. Hotaru Ichijo transfers from Tokyo to this school and readjusts to the slow life in the country with her fellow classmates Katsumi, Komari, Renge, and Komari's big brother Suguru that are in the third year of the middle school. So I haven't watched any of these first two seasons. I know it's massively popular. So, I mean, have you watched this? Have either of you watched it?
I never did see it. It's on my list though.
Unfortunately, I never have.
So I think it's just a slice of life, like a slice of life comedy, sort of slow pace. Nice.
I might
show.
actually watch it this week. I'm trying to cram stuff in before our impression season's over of all this stuff
Yeah.
I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
I might watch it.
people love this show though, so it's big news. Third season's coming out. I know people are excited. Also, the light novel Adachi to Shimamura is getting a TV anime adaptation. So it's another Yuri show. People online were talking about it. Had a lot of comments. So another Yuri anime to get excited for. It's the manga, the light novel was launched back in 2012. So, and it's got 7 volumes currently, and an 8th volume's coming out. Well, the 8th volume came out on May 10th, so I guess it has 8 volumes now. The synopsis: looking for a quiet place to sit around while she's skipping class, Adachi goes to the 2nd floor of the gym and meets Shimamura. The pair spends time talking about their favorite TV shows and cooking, playing table tennis sometimes, and gradually develop a friendship. Meanwhile, Adachi starts having special feelings for Shimamura, and despite feeling anguish due to her feelings inside of her, Adachi spends an everyday life together with Shimamura. So, we'll see. Everybody gets excited for these yuri shows, and then lately it seems like they haven't really hit the mark. So,
yeah,
I keep thinking about Citrus. So, God
yeah,
help us all. You just never know.
It's better than Citrus.
You just never know what's gonna happen. So, yeah, let's hope.
Yeah.
All right, so you have
sounds interesting though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm
sure
we'll be covering it when it comes out. Whenever I'm not sure there was a date for it, but when it does come out, we'll be here. Who wants to take care of the trivia for me?
I got it. So our trivia, which you go to our website at AAAPodcast.com. Scroll down, you'll see a picture there, and it has a theme to it. And if you can guess what anime that little picture is from, you can win a fabulous prize. And our current theme is ecchi anime, and this week's answer was The Testament of Sister New Devil. And the winner was Frosty Moon.
A ton of wrong answers.
You have contacted yet, or is that
we're not quite there yet. So next week will be last week.
Never mind. When is ecchi over?
Next week.
Next week. Okay. Sorry about that.
The tough question, because the 2 main characters in this show look almost exactly like the 2 characters in High School DxD. They have the almost identical school uniforms, and the girl character has like long hair that is this exact same shade of red as the girl from The Testament of Sister New Devil. So there were a ton of wrong answers this week, which really threw people off. So,
Good tricky one in there.
Yeah, we got to be tricky sometimes. Keep them on their toes. All right. Intro trivia. Hook me up.
Oh, you want me to do it? Alrighty.
Someone.
Do you want to do this one, Dojima?
Yeah, sure. In what city in Japan is known for being the northern city on the Honshu Island? And that answer will be right after the break.
We're going to come back. We're going to have Detective Pikachu, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be back in a minute.
Hey everybody, this is Mitsugi, and I'm here bringing you a dose of your anime news. Leading us off today, it looks like Japan is facing some issues with its privatized railway system. Hokkaido JR is confronting some of the tough realities regarding financing train lines in areas that are very depopulated. Back in 1987, the Japanese national railway system had become privatized, and now we're seeing some of the effects that can occur from privatized institutions in depopulated areas. You're talking about train lines here. JR Hokkaido has been one of the most embattled of these, with about half of the train lines in Hokkaido being unprofitable due to the lack of population that's up there in the Hokkaido island. This problem persists in various areas throughout Japan where there is a low population of people to use the train services, which of course are very expensive, and it used to be back before the privatization of these train lines that they could just take for granted the fact that they were losing money because they had support from larger institutions, and despite their chronic tendency to lose money. So Japan is having some problems with its railway systems, and I wonder if they will be changing the way that this is structured in the future to make sure that Japan remains 100% connected throughout the country. Next up, the winners of the 43rd Kodansha Manga Awards have been announced. The winners are in the shonen category, Gotobu no Hanayome, or the quintessential quintuplets, Fumetsu no Anata-e. For the shoujo category, the manga that won was called Perfect World. And in the general category, Kino Nani Tabeta. So it looks like these are the most popular. Oh, there were some special awards as well, including Hajime no Ippo. So if you are interested in manga, maybe you want to check out the ones I just listed because they did win the 43rd Kodansha Manga Awards, and I presume are probably pretty good reads. Next up, it looks like my football team favorite, the New England Patriots, had 5 of their starters go to the Anime Boston anime convention dressed in cosplay, including Lawrence Guy, who started an anime club in the locker room of the New England Patriots, and also defensive tackle Adam Butler and the rest of the crew that went to the event. It's pretty funny. If you want to go on Twitter, you can look up the New England Patriots Twitter feed and watch a 5-minute video that shows all of these crazy football otaku guys wearing Naruto gear and all this. It's no surprise, though, that anime is pretty popular in the NFL, including the New England Browns tight end Darren Fells and David Njoku, who were spotted dancing like Saiyans in the end zone last year at some point, and Green Bay Packers defensive end Mike Daniels was also in the Crunchyroll documentary. So pretty cool to see that anime is becoming really popular and that it's starting to permeate some of the more prolific figures in our society in sports. Also, next up, it looks like the talent office Aoni Production has started a Twitter feed to mark their 50th anniversary. The Twitter feed is AONI_official. They have some pretty funny stuff on there, including a video of 82-year-old Masako Nozawa, the voice actress of Goku, very famous, running down a hallway screaming like Goku at 82 years old. Moving pretty good for an 82-year-old woman, so got handed to her. If you want to check out that Twitter feed again, it is AONI_official. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, as always, it's time to get back to the podcast.
We know the truth.
It's written all over your face.
You're addicted to anime.
But it's more than that, isn't it?
Are you also addicted to the AAAPodcast?
Get all the content. Early episodes, after parties, hobby addicts, hentai episodes, show notes, ringtones, and more by joining our $7 support tier.
Go to AAAPodcast.com/join and select the $7 tier to get access to everything.
This means you'll get an extra 8 episodes of podcast goodness delivered right to your ears every month. That's less than $1 per episode.
And that's on top of all the other bonuses like ringtones and show notes.
So head to AAAPodcast.com/join and select the $7 tier. Set up your membership and you're good to go.
この番組は JList.com の提供でお送りします。
Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back.
To the 472nd episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. This is a good jam here.
It is.
What city in Japan is known for being the northernmost city on the Honshu Island? It's a kind of
Good
a difficult.
question.
It's difficult because it's not actually the northernmost city, but it is known as the northernmost city because it's a big city, and that's Aomori, which is where you will be if you want to take a train into Hokkaido rather. So, I've never been to Aomori, but I'd like to go to Hokkaido someday, even though I'm sure it's just really cold up there and there's probably not a whole lot of cool shit to do. Except maybe go skiing. Maybe could be cool.
Is that where what was the witch anime was located?
I don't know.
Flying Witch. I think that was in there, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I don't know. The only thing I know of that's in Hokkaido is Sapporo, and the Ice Festival is up there. So, and a lot of really bankrupt railroad lines, as we heard in the news break. So, since no one's using them, and so they have like no money, basically. Okay, but we now have Mandy's Manga Minute. Are you ready
We do.
to enlighten us with another helping dose of manga goodness?
I am completely ready.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandy.
This is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I take a minute to tell you about manga and help you find something new to read. And this one is not simple. Ian, a young man with a fractured family history, travels from Australia to England to America in hope of realizing his dreams and reuniting with his beloved sister. His story unfolds backwards through the framing narrative of Jim, a reporter driven to capture Ian's experience in his novel, Not Simple. A story within a story, a book within a book, a tale about the search for family, for an emotional home. Not Simple is a drama written and illustrated by Natsume Ono. It is 1 volume and available in English. This was also one of Natsume Ono's first manga, so if she went on to create things such as Ristorante Paradiso, Casa 5 Leaves, and Akka 13. And Not Simple is a little hard to recommend, and that's because the art is very simplistic, almost more like doodles. Really, if it's wild. If you look at this manga and then look at some of her later stuff, you can see just how much she has improved over time. It's vast. But the story of Not Simple, however, is fantastic. Natsume Ono has a real knack for writing very mature dramas. And from the start of Not Simple, you're introduced to Ian and you witness actually the end of the story. But how the events unfold during the end of the story leave you with many questions about what happens during his life. So then the manga then jumps to him as a child, and we get to follow his story up to his final moments. And despite the very amateur art, the story was very engaging for me. I was wrapped up in Ian's history, and I wanted to learn more about him. And there's a lot of heartache in this, and the realization that sometimes family life, people's life in their family is not simple at all. And if there was ever an adaptation of this in an OVA, I would love to see it. So I do recommend it despite the art.
So the art is simple, but the title is not simple.
Exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. I loved it. It's a very quick read too. I have it right here. I forgot how many pages.
Do you actually, when you do these manga minutes, do you actually have a physical copy of these manga, or do you belong to a? Yes.
Right here. Mm-hmm.
She's smacking it. Right here. How many pages was it?
Let's see, 300 and something. 316.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
No problem.
The Detective Pikachu movie dropped.
It did.
And you will know that we had much conversation about this prior to this episode, because we made a bet about how much money this movie would make. And
I said a lot. Did I win?
You said a lot. I think you're already in the clear on that.
Yes.
I think I said what did I say? $1 billion or $2
I don't know.
billion?
You'd have to ask Izzy.
Some ridiculous amount, $2 billion maybe. So, Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score right now is a 64%. The audience score is an 86. So it's pretty good. I mean, you kind of expect the audience to be higher than the critic score on a movie like this. The opening weekend gross is projected at, let's see if they have it updated before I throw out a number that's old. It says that Detective Pikachu is estimated at $58 million for the opening weekend domestically, which is pretty good. So with that number, they're projecting I'm going to extrapolate the international number from the first week and say that the first week internationally would be like $120 million. So I'm going to guess it at like $185 million for the first week, which is a lot. That's a lot. But it's not going to get to the $2 billion number or whatever I had said. But it might get to $1 billion, but it won't get to $2 billion, I don't think.
Icy said you said 2 billion, Cosmo said 1 billion, and Enzo said 700 million. And I said a lot.
I think
I win.
You win, yeah. Although I think Enzo's probably not all that.
Probably the closest actual.
Enzo's pretty accurate. Yeah, I think 700 million is probably looking at like, which is a lot because the Alita movie ended up doing just over 400 million, which is also a lot. And that movie ended up being a success actually when it was all said and done.
I'm glad it was.
Yeah. So again, this is based on I guess it's based on a game because there is a Detective Pikachu game on 3DS which I didn't play. They came out in 2018.
I have.
So okay,
Yeah.
so I read the synopsis. It sounded the same. What do you think?
So yeah, the game is pretty much the same. All of the very important like story beats are the same, or story points are the same, but how they get from point A to point B is different because in the Detective Pikachu game, it's a like sort of point and click adventure game. So of course, there's a lot more detective work where you have to like go to different places and collect clues, and so you see a lot more locations that are not in the movie. The game honestly is slow. It is a very slow game, but the movie thankfully cuts out a bunch of that out and speeds it up, and of course, it looks beautiful. It looks like an actual realistic world where the game still has that kind of. It doesn't really look all that realistic to me.
I'm gonna throw the spoiler warning up. I don't think I don't think we're really gonna be talking a lot of spoilers. I'm gonna try not to, but I'm gonna throw it up anyway, just because I want to be safe. You never know.
If you're listening, maybe you can skip maybe 20 minutes. You think they'd be safe then?
I mean, I don't really plan on talking spoilers all that much, honestly, because I just don't want to ruin it for people because it just came out. But there may be one or two light spoilers, I would say. And if we're gonna get into really heavy spoilers, story points and things like that, then we'll let you know.
Okay.
But
Sounds good.
I would start off with the CG in the movie is like really awesome. It looked really great.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job with the designs on the Pokemon.
Especially on the shoulders of poor Sonic the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
Yeah. Flareon is so floofy.
Oh, yeah.
Pikachu.
Flareon.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love
Flareon.
Flareon.
I was sad we didn't get to see more Jigglypuff. I wanted like, cute little fluffy Jigglypuff. So bad.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like your favorite Pokemon in this movie. I think they really did sort of a very adept job because they can't show all of them. There's like
400 and something.
it's like hundreds of them at this point. But they touched on a lot of the really popular ones. You got your from the trailer we saw Charizard, the Greninjas, the Cubone. They got Cube. Everyone likes Cubone.
Boy, was I wrong. There's 807.
Yeah, I knew you were low, but you got the point across. Because they keep making like 150 more every game now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Cubones, your of course Pikachu. What was the name of the guy? I don't even know what his name is. He almost looks like a Mexican hat Pokemon. He was
Ludicolo?
Yeah, whatever the hell that thing. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of like they really did a nice job of like picking the Pokemon that I think meant the most to people because like they can't have them all. So
I didn't see a Dragonite, so I was very sad.
Oh.
Or Vulpix. No Vulpix.
Well, there was no Oddish or Vileplume either, so my heart's broken.
It's true.
Gengar, I was satisfied.
Yeah, I think, all of the Pokemon looked fantastic, and I know they grabbed an artist who was known prior to this to making really fantastic, realistic Pokemon, and his work was very popular. I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry, but I remember that when looking into a realistic movie, they grabbed him or like, yo, your designs are actually really popular and look very realistic. So it's great that they grabbed that guy and got his input on it because they looked real. I think the only one that really stood out to me was Audino. That one looks like a man in a suit. I did not like that one. Everyone else looked fantastic though.
Yeah.
But I was actually really surprised how many Gen 7 Pokemon were in it because the Detective Pikachu game came out like months before Gen 7, so I was really surprised that like Morlul, which is like the little mushrooms that were flying around, and Comfeys, they were like flying like in the wind.
Excuse me?
Morlul and Comfey.
Oh, okay.
They're like Gen 7 Pokemon. I was really surprised to see them in it.
I've forgotten Comfey.
Yeah, I don't even know the names of the Gen 7 Pokemon, so like okay. Yeah. I only played Pokemon Red and I played Pokemon I had Pokemon Y and I played Heart Gold. And those are the only three I've played.
I played all of them. I played every Pokemon game that has been released in America officially.
Even the spin-offs?
Yep.
Yeah,
Even the racing game. I've played the Puzzle League. The best Pokemon game in existence is Conquest. So you should play that.
Even done the Pokemon Ranger variants?
Yep. I have all the Ranger games. I have all the Mystery Dungeon. I have all the Mystery Dungeon games. I have the Pokemon Channel. I have XD. I have all of them.
Damn.
Wow.
Well, I thought the main character was really likable. You know, he's this kid. Like, I guess I want to call him a kid, but I guess he's really not. He's this guy that that loved Pokemon when he was younger, and then, like most people in their lives, you kind of grow up and you're not as into, you don't really have the ability to spend as much time on things like Pokemon as you used to, but like deep down, you still really love Pokemon. So I found like the main character is very relatable. I think so because I feel like I feel like we all have that in our heart,
For sure, there are things about this movie that made me think, okay, they did this to appeal to the younger audience, like the younger kids. But a lot of the movie felt like it was driven at adults who are still into Pokemon. In my theater, and I'm curious to hear what you guys what your theater experience was. For me, it was almost all adults, and it was really, I don't know, like I left there with so many thoughts in my head because I was like just overwhelmed by how many adults were around and they're trading Pokemon cards together and they're like talking about which ones they wish were in the movie, and it was heartwarming for me. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was gonna be the only one out. I was blown away. Like, there were some children in the theater, but it was mostly all adults for me, and it was packed.
Well,
what were your guys' theater experience?
Go ahead, Dojima.
I went to a late night showing, and for the most part, it's mostly empty. But the crowd that ended up coming up was they're mostly adults with their children or people that look like they're in their early 20s. So that was a nice, refreshing surprise. And actually, funny enough, talking about the Pokemon cards, we actually found as we were exiting the theater, someone apparently dropped their movie promo Snubble card.
Aww.
And so I ended up picking that up. If they ever find it, or if they're ever listening, go find me.
I got Lickitung in mine.
Some of the most valuable Pokemon cards out there are the ones that have been given out in as promotional events. So hang on to those. I mean, you just don't know. Like 20 years from now, that card could be worth like 20 grand. You just never know.
I don't have the birthday Pikachu, but I do have a lot of the promo cards still.
Yeah.
I still have all the ones from the first movie.
So, so what else, guys?
I absolutely love the world in this movie. They did such a fantastic job with like the city. It really feels to me like Pokemon living side by side. And I loved all of the tiny little details in it. They're like jobs, like Pokemon were actually had jobs in this. Like there was an Octillery working a grill and a Charmander keeping a stove lit, and Loudreds being used as speakers, and a Machamp guiding traffic around a sleeping Snorlax. That was great. And like Growlithe, Arcanine, and Golurk, the giant golem being used as like security guards. That was great.
Golurk's favorite Pokemon. Actually, also, going off of this, I absolutely loved how they acknowledged the entire rest of the world operated very typical to the original like Pokemon games where you became a Pokemon trainer going out and collecting badges. And they took that and they separated for where most of the movie takes place. They separated and explained it nicely why this one city was separated from the rest of the world, why it was the way it is. And I really liked that.
Yeah. I also liked how they added in a ton of details for the big Pokemon fans. Like, they must have done a lot of research into Pokemon, like Pokedex entries, make them as accurate as possible. And I like one detail, I think it's in the trailer also, where Pikachu says, "Oh, sweet mother of Arceus." And it's like, instead of saying God, he says Arceus, because Arceus is the god of Pokemon. So,
Oh, really? Wow, I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Yeah, Arceus is the god,
Arceus.
the creator of the world. So I thought stuff like that was very funny. Like when he's commenting also on Cubone's skull, like they did research into it, and we're like, let's look at the Pokedex entries for each of these, and they did a decent job of bringing it into a modern world. Like there was a guy who has a Pokedex on his smartphone. That was really a good detail. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the world was very vibrant. You know, like I said, I think that there was my theater had sort of a mixed audience. I would say there were definitely not. I mean, there were a lot of adults there, but like there are always going to be adults because the adults bring the kids. I feel like, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the movie definitely. The funny thing is that, as we all know, a lot of the adults now are Pokemon fans too, because the original Pokemon game came out in like the 90s. So you're talking about a game that's 20 years old, 25 years old. So there's a whole generation of adults that have kids now that played Pokemon. So you have adults and their kids all love Pokemon. And so the movie, I think, does a good job of sort of bridging that gap and bringing enough things to the table that it satisfies all the audiences. And despite how I felt after the first trailer, which was us thinking, oh my gosh, they're going after like a TED type for Pikachu. Like it didn't end up being like that way for me. I feel like, I mean, the movie's PG, you know?
Yeah.
So like they
still let Ryan Reynolds make little comments that, unless if you weren't listening very carefully, there were some remarks in there. Like there was one part where Pikachu was saying, "Oh yeah, they want to hug me, kiss me, or try to stick their finger in me."
Yeah.
Feel it in my jellies.
Yeah.
The jellies.
Man, that's so. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest, but I guess that's not enough to give the movie a PG-13 rating. So, you know, you can have
forget that.
Yeah, you can have like fun adult humor like that and still escape the PG-13 rating because it's just vague enough that they're like, well, you know, he could be talking about anything. So, but
yeah, you'd have to know.
I still think it has sort of a Ted flair to it though, because you still have like this little CG creature that, you know, makes little jokes, and you know, it's not. I mean, Ted is like straight raunchy, so it's not. You know, it's not that, but yeah. I mean, but they did a great job of appealing to the old and new fans of Pokemon. So yeah. So
I do think that if you have no history with Pokemon at all, it might be a little hard to get into. I felt like it was definitely, like, it is based off of a point-and-click adventure game, but it felt like a love letter to old Pokemon fans. Like you were saying before, where Tim is very relatable.
Oh, super relatable.
He works in like a law firm. He's not like a 12-year-old. It definitely feels like, you know, it was meant for adults in a way. But what I did put down on my notes was that I was a little disappointed with some of the actors. And I don't think they're terrible actors, but a lot of performances felt a little forced. I think they acted more like cartoon characters than people in a way. I don't know. I'm specifically thinking of the main girl whose name I can't remember.
Oh, I wrote it. Yeah, I wrote her name down.
The detective, or
the
news anchor. Yeah, the reporter. She
was it Lucy?
Was it Lucy? I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I'm not good with
I know
names.
her name is different than the game. The game, her name's Amanda.
Okay.
I don't remember the movie. They changed it, but I can't remember what it was. But like parts like that, like there are moments where like they say lines, you're like, okay, I get it. This is trying to appeal to a younger audience. You know, we had to make it able for them to understand. But I don't know, they felt more like cartoon characters than people to me in a way.
I thought Ryan Reynolds did a good job though.
Yeah, he did fantastic.
I mean, he's the most important really in the end. I think that you're there to see Pikachu. So yeah, and Ryan, I don't know, I just like him. Like there's a lot of actors that are sort of, well, I guess Ryan Reynolds isn't really a new actor though, because he's got to be in like his late 40s probably, because he was in like Van Wilder, and that movie's like 15 or 20 years old now at this point. So. But I know I like Ryan Reynolds. He's good in most things. Do you think Ryan Reynolds would have been given this role if it wasn't for Deadpool?
I don't know.
Because I feel like he's become a very big name lately because of Deadpool, and I think that Deadpool has a lot of sort of voice work in it, you know, because it's a lot of CG. I don't know. He's not really in that Deadpool suit for a lot of the movie, I'm sure. And so I wonder if they're like, oh, Ryan Reynolds is this like sort of trendy type actor that everybody likes, and he's kind of got experience with this type of thing. I don't know. I just kind of wonder about that, you know, because Deadpool's been such a success.
I know when the game was being ported over here, there were a lot of petitions out because in the Japanese one, we saw the trailers that Pikachu had a voice actor, like he actually spoke. So, but nobody knew the story behind it. So like, oh my gosh, if they're going to bring that over here, we need somebody real funny. So there were a lot of petitions out to get Danny DeVito to do his voice.
Oh my God, I love Danny DeVito.
So, but unfortunately, that didn't happen for the game. I guess they didn't have that much money behind it.
Yeah.
But maybe that somehow drove the decision. They're like, we need somebody really funny to pick up this role.
Someone that does a lot of wisecracks and everything.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Imagine that if Danny DeVito was in this movie. That's Pikachu.
Digging through the tree.
Funny.
Danny DeVito, he probably could have done a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ryan Reynolds was fantastic.
Oh yeah, he did a
really
great job.
funny.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I have no complaints at all about Ryan Reynolds in this movie. He was great. How do you guys feel about? Now this is where like a spoiler might come in. I think like a somewhat of a spoiler. But like, so I'm just gonna say that right now, so that nobody complains. I don't think I'm not gonna like drop huge story breaking spoilers, but oh wait, before I get to that, Ken Watanabe. I love him.
Yeah,
I just do.
Oh.
Everything he's in, always.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What? Was he the one that was also in The Last Samurai? With, okay, then yeah. He's a really wonderful actor.
He is. Like, every role he's in, I just want to hear him talk. Just talk to me. Just talk to me, Ken.
Pay him to read you a bedtime story.
Just anything. Literally anything. I don't care what it is. Just anything, flat out. I don't know. He just has like a very Japanese accent, but it's the way he talks. It's just so... I don't know.
It's very mentory.
Yeah, it's just nice. I don't know. I love it. How do you guys feel about like... one thought I had was like, okay, to me it seemed like, okay, same old Mewtwo in this movie. You know, I don't know. I guess it's like canon for the series, but I didn't really. I don't know. It seems like I don't know. I guess I'm a little tired of like that sort of storyline in the Pokemon world. Do you guys feel the same way, or is that just me?
Well. He was in the game, so if they're following the game, you know, they chose that for that reason. But also, I was thinking realistically, I can't think of another Pokemon that could have taken that role at all. Yeah. I mean, it would have to be a legendary, because if we were to say, like, switch it with Alakazam, it's like, okay, well, I could just knock him out with, you know, it's like, it had to be something really powerful and scary. But all of the other legendaries, I feel like have so much baggage behind them. Like they're either gods or guardians of something. It's like, okay, we can't get in Arceus, the god of Pokemon, or Giratina, the devil of Pokemon. It's like, we can't do that. But Mewtwo, I feel like, is the perfect candidate because one, he has the same like shape as a human, and I mean that's like I'm
Sort
trying
of.
not to drop in spoilers, of course. I'm not gonna tell you what they were doing with Mewtwo, but for the role that he was filling, I think he was the best option. And plus, there is a lot of lore behind Mewtwo being spliced with like human DNA, so there's that also.
Yeah.
I feel like
I was
he
about
was really
to
the
ask,
only option for this.
I was about to ask, would Mewtwo's origin be a spoiler too, mainly?
I mean,
I don't think
Generally
so.
how he was created?
It really
Nah.
can't be at this point. I mean, Mewtwo has
Yeah.
been a thing for 20 years now or more. So,
So,
when did the
'cause I
first
also-
Pokemon? Pokemon, look that up. Pokemon Red.
So I also really like how it was kind of a throwback right to Mewtwo Strikes Back, where we're at the lab and those voices, they're outside.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. There are hints in it that is the same Mewtwo as back then. I don't know though.
Exactly.
They Mewtwo has been in all of the media, the manga as well, but different. I mean, Team Rocket throughout all of them has made Mewtwo, but the manga was a little bit different, where he was spliced with Blaine's DNA, actually. Because, spoiler for the manga, most of the gym leaders are Team Rocket members. So
Ooh.
Blaine it's actually has Blaine's DNA in it. But I don't know which Mewtwo they're taking from. If they're taking it from the manga or from the game, I don't know. Or from the anime, I don't know.
If they didn't use Mewtwo, then the only other artificial Pokemon on the top of my head would be something like Porygon, and a Porygon, but who knows where that would have led into.
Nope, you knock that shit out with a Machamp. We can't have Porygon. That's nonsense. Now, if it was Genesect, that would be hilarious. Because Genesect was also another man-made Pokemon. He was made by Team Rocket, or not Team Rocket, the equivalent of Team Rocket in whatever generation he came out.
Oh,
And yeah, he is like literally a bug robot. That would have been fantastic.
The Box Office Mojo now has this movie at 170 million estimated for the first weekend, which is like awesome. That's crazy, right? So,
Yeah.
but like it hasn't really done much in Japan. Like that's the craziest thing. You would think it'd be like this huge smash hit in Japan, but it looks like the total gross in Japan is only about $10 million for so far.
Oh, interesting.
And so like the highest grossing non-animated film in Japan ever is Titanic, and they have it in yen, but it would be about 260 million. So, and then like go all the way down to like the 30th movie is what was one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and so that did about $100 million. So like this is only at 10% of that. So like I just thought I thought a Pokemon movie with Ryan Reynolds and how big Ted was in Japan, which was Ted was a very popular movie in Japan. I thought this movie would just crush. Like I was thinking this is going to be one of those movies that takes off in Japan and China and Taiwan and Singapore, and they're just going to like, the international sales I just figured would be massive. But I'm just surprised that it's not even going to like crack the top 30 list for grossing in Japan. Like Pokemon came from Japan, it just makes sense to me, but I don't know. I don't know. I missed the mark completely on that. Are you guys surprised by that?
A little bit. I'm wondering if there is a reason why. I don't know. Because before you mentioned Titanic and you mentioned Lord of the Rings, I was going to say maybe because it's an American film. I don't know, but I guess not.
I don't know either. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for Pikachu being one of the more iconic kind of mascots.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, dude! It's like there's parades of Pikachu who's like all over Japan. I mean, it's Pikachu is like Pikachu, Hello Kitty, Totoro, Mickey Mouse. Those are like probably the top 4 most recognizable figures of like characters in Japan, I would say. So
Anpan Man.
Man's up there. He's so cute. What else? Do you guys have anything else you want to say about the movie? I think we've done a pretty good job of not letting any
Spoiling
spoilers
anything?
loose. Yeah, I think we haven't spoiled much of anything at this point.
I would have to say that I think that if they went for another, I did happen to notice that from the action or fight scenes that were in there, fight scenes that were in there, that it definitely looks like that. It definitely showed that if there was any more, if there was another live action Pokemon movie that were to ever come out, that there would definitely be room for making some really exciting Pokemon fight scenes.
Yeah.
Do you guys think this could generate another? I mean, this movie's obviously a success already. It's going to be a success. Do you think this could generate another Pokemon live action movie?
I could see it would definitely be possible. Yeah, it wouldn't be Detective Pikachu for
Right.
reasons, but yeah, I definitely think they could.
I'll tell you right now that if this movie makes $700 million off of a $150 million budget, they're going to make another one. Because, I mean, that's, you know, you're getting up into like Marvel movie land territory there. And Marvel movies have a larger budget. So, I mean, not the recent Endgame, because that movie has made just stupid money. But, you know, like some of the Spider-Man movies and stuff like that, you know, it's up to 700 million will be up there. So I guess I'm down for it, you know? Maybe
I'm down.
I think it'd be nice to see maybe... I'd like to see the like origin story of Pokemon where like Ash is setting out to do on his journey. Like I'd like to have that sort of.
Gosh, can we get someone who's not Ash? Ash is so stupid.
Well, don't call him Ash. Call him Steve.
Can we have Red?
You want to call him Red?
Pokemon.
Yeah, the original Red.
Call him Max. I don't know. Call him whatever the heck.
Okay.
Call him whatever you want. But
We'll call him Conrad.
I just think it'd be fun to see that that might make even more money than this movie, because that's true nostalgia right there for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And actually have where he ages, you know?
Yeah, right?
you want him to have a beard? Traumatize everybody?
Yeah.
Maybe towards the end, yeah, or something like that. Just him start getting older. That'd be nice. Perpetually 10. Ash is cursed.
Oh my gosh. How are they going to get a live action Jesse? Jesse and James live
my
action?
God.
Nonsense. Oh, and the Meowth can talk. The Meowth can
Yeah,
be
of course.
Danny
Maybe the
DeVito.
Meowth
Yes.
could be Danny DeVito.
There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
Figured it out.
Out
Yeah,
of all of the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You can have my Meowth come out with like a little cigar. Yeah, that's right. Just like
Yeah.
perfect.
Out of all the Pokemon that we saw in this movie, what was your guys' favorite design? I think for me it was probably Bulbasaur, because Bulbasaur looked so realistic and his like eyes were so moist. Like he looked real. I'm like, I want to take him home and cuddle him.
Yeah, especially the group of them. They're so cute.
Yeah. There's a whole group of Bulbasaurs and they're adorable.
Yeah.
I thought the
I think
Pikachu
I'll-
looked really good. I just like Pikachu. I thought he looked perfect. And fluffy, and I just wanted to hug him.
Yeah. I think I already said, but I absolutely love the Flareon. Though, actually, no, I'll change my answer. I would actually have Growlithe. My favorite was Growlithe.
Oh,
Their tails look so floofy.
oh yeah.
I know.
They looked like an actual dog in those scenes. I loved it.
Growlithe is that's an underappreciated Pokemon. I feel like.
Growlithe and Arcanine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just very like just you know. You want to put him in the passenger seat of your car with the window down when you go running errands.
Oh. I will point out that there was a poster there in Tim's room that said Articuno versus Steelix battle, and all I could think about every time they came up was like, poor Articuno's about to get destroyed. Every time I was like, Articuno versus Steelix, can they pick a better matchup? That is like, that Articuno is gonna get destroyed.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well,
For sure.
The Steelix would be weak against water, right?
Steelix is steel and
Steel.
ground.
What is the steel?
Yes.
What is the steel?
Steel,
weak
steel has an advantage against ice, but ground has a weakness, so they cancel out. So Articuno could possibly have an advantage if he could outspeed the Steelix, but Steelix, all he has to do is get a real good rock slide in there. Articuno is demolished.
But Articuno is like a legendary Pokemon.
That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, okay.
He is a weak, very weak legendary.
Oh, but he's so
No
cute.
one uses Articuno.
Oh, he's so
Ooh.
cute. Poor Articuno.
I think out of their legendary birds, the other one who's even viable is Zapdos. That's like the only good one.
All right, well, I have nothing else to add, so why don't we just call it a day? It's a good movie. You should go see it.
Yeah.
People listening, it's a
Yeah.
good movie. You know, it's definitely, you know, it's not going to win 5 Oscars, but I mean, it's a fun movie, and I think people that like Pokemon will enjoy the movie. So there's a little bit of there's a little bit of something for everybody in there. So yeah, good movie.
Fun the whole family.
They didn't ruin anybody's childhood.
Nope.
All right, who wants to do the in-show trivia question this time?
I can do it.
Yeah.
So our intro trivia question, which we'll answer after the break, is in honor of the new era in Japan. Can you name each of the past 5 imperial eras of Japan, starting with the current one? And we will answer it in the break.
Hey everybody, Mitsugi's back one more time, bringing you another dose of anime news. Well, we have a pretty good story here with Machi Asobi, a biannual event that is put on by animation studio UFO Table. One cosplayer named Reiji Itsuka went to the event dressed as the president of UFO Table, Hikaru Kondo, with a reference on the side referencing allegations of tax evasion. According to the Bungei Shunju's weekly Bunshu digital magazine, there is an investigation going on for UFO Table that regarding tax evasion and allegedly the misappropriation of funds from the Great Tohoku earthquake, which is pretty rough, pretty bad allegation. So it's pretty ballsy to see a cosplayer protesting in that way at a company's own event. Next up, there is a vote being held for Goku Day. Goku Day is apparently, it was May 9th, and you can vote for your favorite incarnation of Goku, who will be appearing on many different types of merchandise coming up this year. Voting runs until May 31st. You can find this website online, and you can vote between various forms of Goku, including Goku from Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and the Dragon Ball Broly movie. The website is dragonball.news/59 campaign. If you want to head over there, it is in Japanese, but Google will translate it for you. You can vote for your favorite Goku, and maybe, just maybe, you can have your favorite Goku on some merchandise. Next up, switching gears to Pokemon, since Pokemon seems so prevalent in the news these days. A Stanford researcher has identified a region of the brain that responds particularly to images of Pokemon. According to a study that was done, it looks like the study had test subjects that were shown hundreds of images, including some of Pokemon, and the results were compared to those who had never played the game before. So they're trying to compare the reaction of the brain from people who have played and not played Pokemon. What the team found is that the occipitotemporal sulcus of the adults do indeed respond preferentially to images of Pokemon compared to those who had not played the game. Their brains reacted not only to the original Pokemon Red and Blue games, but also to the television series as well. On top of that, the location of this brain region, which responds to images of animals, was also consistent to veterans of Pokemon. So it looks like playing Pokemon has an impact on your brain. If you want to read more about this study, I'm sure you can find it online. Stanford study performed by Jesse Gomez. And lastly, we did have a death in the anime industry this last week. The manga creator of Kuja Kuo, Makoto Ogikuno, who was known for putting out a lot of different titles on Shueisha Jungjun magazine. He serialized Kuja Kuo, Yasha Garasu, Algo, Child, The Gun Spirit, and of course other versions of Kuja Kuo as well. which did inspire a 3-episode OVA of that same title between 1988 and 1991. Well, it's sad to see a talented creator in the anime industry go, but we wish his family well. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, as always, it's time to get back to the podcast.
Hey, Mitz, what's the website?
Oh, Enzo, you'll never believe this.
What? Oh, no.
JList.com is going to release a Church of Mitsugi PC game. Hello. It's called Moe Stomp Stomp Deluxe Edition.
Deluxe?
It's a turn-based RPG where you go on a quest to rid the world of Moe girls. I commissioned it from JList.
I didn't know JList.com sold anime PC games.
Oh yeah, Enzo. JList.com and Just USA are the same company. They sell hundreds of English language visual novels such as Fate Stay Night and Steins Gate, and they have adult games as well.
And Moe Stomping games.
Moe Stomping is not a game. It's life, Enzo. Life.
Right. Oh, I see. They have the new Mad Pompadour 12 Good Hair Days. Let's get that for Kazuo.
JList.com, your home for all your Moe Stomping and Pompadour game needs. Oh, and most other anime games as well.
Story time with Chiaki.
I was on a train in Korea once with one of my friends, and I get an itch in my nose, and I kind of, rub my nose or whatever, and then I sneeze, and blood just goes everywhere, and we're in between stops, and I'm holding my hands over my nose, and there's just blood dripping from my hands.
What the hell?
It's like one of the worst nosebleeds I've ever
Shouldn't
had.
pick your nose so hard.
And then it's like when we get to the stop and we run out to the bathroom, and I run in the bathroom and there's blood all over me, and all of the girls in the bathroom flee, and I open up my hand and it's like a pool of blood in the sink, and
That story wasn't funny at all.
it was awful.
Nobody will ever want to ride next to Chiaki on the train again.
I always have a good story somewhere in me.
Back to the show.
Welcome back to the podcast. Smooth Jazz.
Ooh.
I can relate a little bit to that. When I get nosebleeds, they're pretty dramatic.
So, in honor of the new era in Japan, can you name each of the past 5 imperial eras, starting with the current one? The current era is the Reiwa era, started this year. Before that, it was the Heisei era, which was 1989 to 2019. Before that, Showa, a very long era, from 1926 to 1989, 63 years. Before that, a very short Taisho period, 1912 to 1926. And before that, the Meiji era, very famous era, 1868 to 1912. So, 5 eras in the current modern Japan. Alrighty then.
Nice.
It's good to be back. So now we're now in the third leg of the show. We've got a 5-star review to do off of iTunes, as we always do, and then we have our impressions after that, which we're going to be doing some pretty good stuff. We've got 5 impressions for you, and then we're going to do some mailbags. Are you guys ready?
I am.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's time for iTunes review.
Dojima, why don't you read the 5-star review for us?
All right. This 5-star review comes from Brandon's Mama 15. He says,
Brandon's mama. Thanks, Brandon's mama.
He says, I found you guys by searching anime in iTunes. I love you guys. You have recommended anime and manga I haven't heard of, and I'm planning to try out. You guys are awesome.
Aw.
Wonderful.
Thank you so
thank
much.
Thank you.
you. Yeah. So if you want to keep it rolling on iTunes, we can head ever closer to our next milestone, which I guess is 600 reviews. So it'd be nice to get there. So it'll be, of course, 500 is already a great accomplishment. So you guys have been wonderful, but we can always do better.
Yeah.
I'm going to be greedy now. All right. So we've got 5 impressions to do. So let's not delay.
Today, we're going to be doing impressions.
Impression time, believe it.
We're going to be doing Mix Meisei Story, Fairy Gone, Ao-chan Cannot Study, Fruits Basket, and Robi Hachi. So who would like to kick it off? And you know what? I'll go first. So I'm gonna do Robi. I'm gonna start with Robi Hachi. Robi Hachi was an anime that I was very perplexed when I watched the trailer for it, and when we were doing our sort of when we were doing our selections. It was an anime that I thought it sort of felt like Space Dandy a little bit, but I mean, it's just the trailer. So Robi Hachi is this like goofy show that's done by Studio Comet, directed by Shinji Takamatsu, and it's like I noted in the trailer that like the style of the show it's a very stylized anime where it's set very futuristically, and it's got this really silly story. It's basically about this guy who let's see here. It's about this guy who is like there's this place that he wants to travel to in space, and he runs into this other guy who's like this young kid, and he's really bored with life, and I think the other kid's name is Hachi, I think, isn't it? And he tags along with Robi like on his sort of space adventures, I guess, and he takes off like in this rocket ship. He's escaping. This is such a chaotic, crazy anime. In the first episode, he's escaping debtors. So the main character has incurred quite a lot of debt, and in order to escape, he like has this rocket ship that's located in his like apartment, and so he takes off in this rocket ship, and he's out in space, and the debtor, like the debt collector, I guess, has a rocket ship as well, and so they have like it turns into this like outer space sort of battle, and then part of the way through that sort of scene, they deploy 2 spaceships from the main ship that the protagonist has, and then they fuse into a mecha, which is like very odd to have a mecha fuse out of just 2 robots, and one of them's the arms, one of them's the upper body, one of them's the legs, and so they get into this big argument about like who's more important. It really is quite an obnoxious anime, to be honest. This is bickering constantly, and the debtors freak out because they think that they're not going to be able to beat some fused mecha because it's going to shoot some like giant laser at them or something. And so the attack that the mecha does is actually super weak, and the mecha has a mustache, which is very odd.
Of course.
It's just odd to me to see that. And then the debtors realize that they don't have anything to fear from this thing, so they continue to pursue, and they end up on this planet. I think it's Mars that they end up on. So, but like Mars is occupied by like octopus people.
Weird.
This whole anime is weird, Mandy. So it's occupied by octopus people, and then part of the way through that episode, through that like sort of section of the show, you realize that in reality, Mars was like a place that was colonized, and like many of the planets and celestial bodies and that you hear of in this show, they're being advertised on television for tourism, but Mars was doing really badly in the tourism department. So in order to bolster tourism, they made everybody on Mars dress up like octopus people so that they could say, oh, come visit these weird octopus people on Mars. And so they're trying to trick everybody into thinking that that's actually the creatures that have colonized the planet, when in reality it's just people inside of suits. So it's all like a fake lie to get people to come visit Mars. It's not really working anyway. And so part of the way through the episode, it's discovered that like the main girl that's like, I don't know, they're like in hostess clubs. Like they take the main character to a hostess club, I guess, because that's like, I don't know, how they decided that they would portray things on Mars. He finds out that they're human, and so there's just like this big sort of event that goes down where they end up revealing that the people on Mars aren't really octopuses. The one kid, the one with the white hair, ends up in jail because they don't want him to spill the beans about the fact that his name's Hachi, and the main character's name's Robi. I thought that was right. Hachi ends up in jail because they don't want him to spill the beans, and Robi has been hanging out with this one girl who is like She's like the daughter of the president of the planet or something, of course, just coincidentally. And so he doesn't end up in jail, but he ends up, they get Hachi to do an advertisement for the planet of Mars, talking about how amazing it is. And then, I don't know, it's just ridiculous. I don't think it's Space Dandy like at all. And unless Space Dandy to you is just because he's in space with his own ship. What I don't understand is how this Roby guy gets a spaceship that can deploy ships that can fuse into a mecha when he's bankrupt and like in debt. Like, I mean, don't you think that kind of thing sounds expensive? I don't know. It just doesn't make me. I found this anime very difficult to watch. I don't know exactly who would like this show. I mean, I think a very young audience for sure. But then there's like really adult themes in it, like the Hostess Club, and he's talking about how sexy the girl is and she's so cute, and it's like, well, a 10-year-old boy or girl isn't going to like look at this and identify with a Hostess Club. But at the same time, the content of the show is so immature that I don't find it appealing at all. And very difficult for me to sort of like gravitate and link onto. The character designs I find annoying because they're like the same sorts of like two-tone, like where the characters' hairs are like yellow and then orange, something that you'd see in like the anime Amnesia, sort of. It's got Roby's sort of buddy and co-captain of the ship is a rabbit that I don't even know if the rabbit had a name, but it's like this white rabbit that talks. I guess it's a robot probably, but I don't know. They don't really go into it. And like, I don't know. I knew this was going to fail the minute I watched the trailer, and I was right. And I'm not necessarily happy about that, but at the same time, I do get to play the Soup Nazi drop from our soundboard, so that's not all bad. I don't know who would like this. I think that if just watch Space Dandy, I think that's probably just better.
You? If I knew it was for you, I never would have given it to him in the first place. I would have taken a hatchet and smashed it to pieces. No soup for you. Come back 1 year.
Okay. Yeah, not good. Didn't like that one.
Icy saying it's similar to Double Decker or Tiger and Bunny.
Well, guess Tiger and Bunny must suck then.
Damn.
Ooh.
And I say that because I know it doesn't. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to go next? I only have one this time.
If it would please your heart, you may go next. Otherwise, I guess there's only one other person here, so.
It'd be a very fast one because
Sure.
this is a remake, which is Fruits Basket, and it is being adapted by TMS Entertainment. The director was Yoshihide Ibata. When I was trying to look up stuff on this person, but Mal is being really problematic right now with me. I can't get it to load. On Anime News Network, they have him as director for something I've never heard of. All of these other ones, he's only been like episode directors. So I don't know if this is like his only second show or what. But Fruits Basket, if you are new to anime, the manga originally came out in 1998, and then the first adaptation of the manga came out in 2001, which there's a lot of nostalgia behind it. For a lot of people in the anime community, it is a very beloved series. But there is a lot of like a big split where the manga fans were not happy with the anime, but there are a lot of people who watched the anime and absolutely loved it, and it means a lot to them. And it was a really big influential like shoujo back then. I know a lot of people have watched it in their old anime clubs, and it's been a very long time since I watched the original, so it's one of those where I hardly remember it, but I'm starting to read the manga again so I can like refresh myself, like, oh, okay, I remember what's happening now. But so yeah, it's following the manga more faithfully because the mangaka for the original hated the first anime adaptation.
Oh,
And
yeah.
promised
Studio Dean. Was it Dean
Yep,
that did it?
she said Dean will never touch my series again. So I guess for all this time she's been looking for someone to take it over, which has been TMS Entertainment. And in my opinion, they've been doing a fantastic job so far. It is interesting though to see a lot of really old shoujo tropes being pulled into modern day, into today's anime and how it's stacking up. But I feel like a lot of people, like when I'm looking on social media about what is going on right now, there's so much hype behind this because it's like a part of your childhood coming back. But it is following a lot of the more emotional parts of the manga because the original series took out a lot of the bad stuff, like a lot of the sadness. There's a lot of sadness in the original manga. A lot of the characters were dealing with very traumatic things in their clan. And I guess I never even mentioned what this is about for new people. So Fruits Basket is about a girl named Toru who has been living a very harsh life. She is currently at the beginning of the series living homeless and in a tent. And she learned from the very first episode that her mother passed away, but she's tries to keep an upbeat attitude throughout everything. She carries a picture of her mother and talks to it as if she's still alive. And she doesn't want to ask anybody for help because she doesn't want to be a burden on anybody. Like she's very, very overly positive to the point that it is like destructive to herself. And then she meets this boy named Yuki and discovers through events that they have like this family called the Soma clan are possessed by spirits from the Chinese zodiac. And when they come into contact, I guess it's not exactly contact, when they are embraced by somebody of the opposite sex, they turn into that animal. So Yuki turns into a rat. And then you meet Kyo, who is the cat zodiac, and he turns into a cat. And Shigure turns into a dog. So it sounds very silly, but if you have read the manga, you learn that this clan, they are all facing a lot of trauma from this curse. It's a lot heavier than it sounds. And through Toru, they offer her a place to stay at their house as long as she keeps their secrets. And you get to learn a lot about the characters through her, and she helps them grow, and they help her grow as well. And this one is, as far as the adaptation goes, the art is fantastic.
Yeah,
it looks gorgeous, and I love the warm tones that they have chosen for it. It gives you a little bit more of a heartwarming feel. It has, I don't know, like there's a lot of details in the way that their movement sways as well, and their hair. And so far, I have been loving it. I love the fresh coat of paint that they put over it. And the English, if you're listening to in English, all of the English voice actors are back. Well, maybe not all of them. I think most of them are back. I can't remember every voice actor from the original. And the Japanese one does have new, unfortunately. So if you watch the Japanese originally, that one is, different. I do think that they are carrying the emotions of the characters very well. They're far more concise than the original adaptation, which had a lot of goofy stuff in it. So I am very interested to see. This one also says season 1 in the title screen. So it's going to be, more added to it. They're not going to be able to get through all of it. But I am excited to see how it progresses. I'm excited to see the ending actually adapted into the anime. Adapted, thank you!
You're welcome.
My brain had a fart.
That's okay.
But, yeah, I'm excited, and I'm passing it.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
That's a bingo.
That's a bingo.
What did I say? Adapted. That's a word.
Everybody's favorite reverse harem is back.
Adapted.
Well,
It's like
it's not a harem if you read the manga.
I mean, all right. So I haven't watched Fruits Basket's anime since like, good lord,
Yeah, same.
20 years ago or something. But
I think I was in high school.
I just remember it seemed like a reverse harem back then, but maybe it wasn't. I just misremember it. But maybe,
There's a little bit of a love triangle, but
or maybe that was just one reason why the manga artist hated Dean.
Oh, she hated it.
I don't know exactly.
It took a lot of the really emotional parts out. Yeah, like actual characters were completely removed.
Well, it's a very popular show, whether or not she liked it or not. So
definitely.
Anyway, okay.
I never watched it, so maybe it was just a blessing that I never got the chance to watch of what made her so angry about it.
Have you watched any of the new one?
No, I haven't, but I'm interested.
Nice.
What do you got for us, Dojima?
Let's see. I happen to have Fairy Gone, which I'll be doing an impression on. This one is being directed by Kenichi Suzuki and is being worked on by Studio PA Works. From what I could find by Kenichi Suzuki, he's done JoJo Part 1 and 3, which he's done a lot of stuff for. And they'll come back and I can see a lot of not references, but some similarities that I've noticed throughout the 3 episodes. Mostly
to JoJo?
In terms of most monsters. The fairy that they like to summon. At first, in the first episode, they open up with an overview of the world map, and I can't remember the king names and prime names save my life, but they like to give you a bit of a intro to set up the world setting and this war, and opens up with some guy named Lei that decides to burn down a village because it has fairies and shows where all the fairies are dying, and there's a lot of panning still shots here and there, which I thought was a little distracting for me to get really immersed in it. And then the whole intro kicks in, and the intro confused me first because I interpreted that they were transforming into those monsters, but that's totally not the case. And it starts off with this girl named Maruya, which I'm having trouble pronouncing, but it's Maruya character.
Is it Mora? The way you're pronouncing it almost sounds like Mora, but I could be wrong.
It's Marlya, so that's why it's so. I'll just call her by her last name, Noelle.
There you go.
So Noelle, her personality is very, I would almost say ditzy, kind of airheaded, but at the same time very stubborn in a lot of ways. And to me personally, found that kind of annoying going through, but she's still kind of cute as a main protagonist. She uses a bolt action rifle as her main weapon of choice, and she decides to join up a mafia because you learn later that she's been actually looking for her childhood friend that helped her escape when the village was burning, this woman named Veronica. And as soon as this Veronica person comes, because as she's working as a mafia, what do you call it? A guard, basically, a hired guard, that they're doing an auction, a black market auction for what are called these tomes, or these pages from fairy tomes, and they're from these scholars that have worked on theory and various magical techniques that happen to do with fairy. And from that, the Veronica person comes in, tries to steal the page, or the page of the black tome of fairy, and it comes down to this one-on-one fight, as you're also introduced to this one other person that turns out to work for the secret organization called Dorothea.
Dorothea?
Yeah, Dorothea.
Interesting.
Dorothea.
It's a terrible name.
It is.
It's the dumbest name ever for a big.
I would not want my secret organization to be called Dorothea.
It's not very menacing. It doesn't really strike me as menacing enough.
Yeah.
Especially with this one guy's name being Free. The names were definitely very odd for these two characters. Maria, and then Free. I don't understand why anyone would be named
Free.
Free, but okay. And as she's summoning this monster creature that starts attacking people, and when they when the monster slices into a couple of these mafia goons' arms, the monster crawls into them and makes them explode from the inside, and kind of
Oh,
gory. Not as gory, but kind of goring. And then the guy, this Free, ends up unleashing his monster, which is a werewolf-looking thing. And it's the CG is very, very distracting in general.
Is this like fairy stands? It sounds like stand battles, but with fairies.
It is. It's a lot.
No, JoJo.
And that's where the whole JoJo thing comes in. It looks a lot like, can I use some reference material? Okay, but don't copy everything. And the two characters will also face off against each other as well. And like with JoJo, any damage that happens to the fairy will also end up being will also be reflected as damage to the people that are summoning them.
Damn.
And from that, during the fight, one cage that's holding a fairy, because fairies are also being captured and being auctioned off to people for who knows what. This thing falls, and then Noelle decides to go running after it, because at first she was so focused on Veronica and Free fighting, she's trying to get them to stop, and then, or she's yelling at them to stop, and then she goes running off to save this fairy that's dropping, and then she ends up getting possessed, and then she winds up being able to summon a fairy because she's been possessed.
I have no idea what's going on. I'm so lost.
It's basically fairy JoJo. Just imagine that, except no Dio, which makes it ultimately worse.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of talk of the hometown, and second episode.
There we go.
The second episode
Dio.
just
No Dio.
It introduces you to two new characters, and as soon as they're introduced, this Clara and Surge, which Clara just looks like they took My Hero Academia's The Frog Girl and just took that representation. Yeah, Froakie. Because her fairy is actually a frog.
Isn't it a Pokemon?
It's a Pokemon.
I was going to say, wait a second.
I fell for your trap, sir. I will remember this. But as soon as you're introduced to them, they are quickly forgotten. They Free and Noelle end up going off to pursue some black market transaction of artificial fairy soldiers, these metallic golem things. And so they're left behind. So, goodbye them. You'll never remember them later. But there's a clear point where Noelle has this one dude that's a friend of Free's, gunpoint, because, of course, the friends have to join, go rogue and everything. And there's a clear point where during the fight, she has this guy at gunpoint and lets him walk away, and her only retort is calling him a creep. And that really took me out of the immersion. That really just separated me. And it seemed a lot, just in general, that the show was really disjointed in trying to introduce you to too many things at once, what the main area is, what the what new people are, especially when, here's two new people, buy two new people. and it just goes back to episode 3 where they're trying to uncover another page of a fairy tale myth. And there's another point there where they come up on another person that happens to be able to use a fairy as well, a fairy stand, if you will. And also throughout this entire thing, which I think is supposed to be the show's mascot, but is quickly forgettable as well. This blue fairy dog thing that escapes on his own and then joins up with Noelle, and is trying to be all cute and adorable and just looks like a blue chihuahua, but ends up getting the name Chima. there's real no point to it other than it being cute. And really, the show seems a little bit disjointed and trying to really throw a whole lot of things at once, especially since I never watched the trailer, so I don't know what I was getting into. But it seemed to me like basically if you took JoJo, but all of the monsters were Bakugan type CGI level in terms of how they looked, and then just made it a little bit more grotesque and gory. And
wait, gorier than JoJo? I don't know. JoJo has some wild shit.
I would say a little bit less gory from what I saw, but it's still up there. There's definitely some innocent things that happen. It's not as gory, but I would definitely have to say that there was not a whole lot that really reached out to me or to impress me. I would say that someone between the ages of 14 to 16 might enjoy this.
Very specific.
Yeah. The general teenage where you might be into that or on a certain phase or whatever. Because other than that, I don't really know who would generally enjoy this.
Yeah, I unfortunately saw the horrible scores it had and was like, I'd pass. I didn't watch it. I'm so sorry to leave you behind. I didn't watch it.
So failing, I guess.
Yeah, it's failing.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
Well, they can't all be winners now, can they?
They could be if they tried hard enough.
All right, so I'm doing an impression on Mix Meisei Story, which is a baseball show that is very, I guess closely related to Touch and Cross Game because it's done by the same creator, Mitsudo Adachi, done by Studio OLM, which has done a ton of stuff, but these baseball shows aren't really in their wheelhouse because this is a studio that's done a lot of stuff for younger kids, like a lot of card game anime, like Card Fight, Future Card
Vanguard?
Shin, Buddy Fight, yeah. You know, they've done Inazuma 11, Yokai Watch, Beyblade, you know, Pokemon, all these types of kids shows. But then there's Mix, which is very random. They're also doing the upcoming Ni no Kuni, or they're at least doing the movie Ni no Kuni.
Oh, interesting.
So Mix is this baseball show that honestly the characters in it look so closely they so closely resemble the characters in Cross Game that I swear to you at one point I just thought I was watching Cross Game straight up. It's actually comical. I made a couple Twitter posts of some of the characters in this show, it's putting them side by side, and some characters look identical. They were wearing the same like baseball uniforms, and they even wear their hat like the same way. And I'm like, this is like crazy. It looks so similar to Cross Game. The story takes place in this school called Meisei Gakuen, which is the same school that Touch takes place in, although it takes place like a few decades later. And it's about these two brothers of the Tachibana family, Soichiro and Touma, and then they have a sister whose name is Otomi. So just like in Cross Game, you've got the story centers around this family with multiple siblings. In Cross Game, they've got the main female family, the family with all the girls in it. They have 4 sisters, which is why the symbol of that show is a 4-leaf clover, because they have, you know, four kids. In this show, it's 3 kids in this family. Toma and Sol, I'm not sure if they're twins or not, but they look really similar. They're both really good at baseball. One of them is an ace, he should be the pitching ace on the team. However, there's a kid on the team whose father has made significant donations to the school and to the baseball team, and he's like a bigwig at some corporation. And so because of all the financial support that the kid's father has shown to the baseball team, the kid gets to remain being the pitcher. He isn't bad, like he's a decent pitcher, but he's not better than the other. He's probably not even the second best on the team, but he kind of gets the job done. But the main characters are frustrated because this kid shouldn't even be like the starter, but he gets preferential treatment. And he knows it, and he's kind of an asshole too, which makes him super unlikable on the team. And so you've got it's a pretty good baseball story, I would say. A lot like Cross Game, through the first 3 episodes, they didn't really get to a lot of actual playing of baseball. This author's very content to sort of set up the characters and the world and the situation and stuff, and not just dive into a sports anime with like very sort of shallow plot line. Like, you know, you think if you're like Ace of Diamond, where they just kind of dive right into the like hardcore shonen baseball action, but don't really lay the foundation for any of the characters or the storyline. This is not like this author's style, so I wouldn't be surprised. I actually don't know how long this is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little longer. I'd be shocked if it wasn't at least 26 episodes. And I don't expect them to get around to like some serious baseball playing until probably at least 7 or 8 episodes into it, I would assume, because the author's going to want to, you know, flesh out everything first. I wouldn't say it's a great show. It's a little slow. You know, it's not super. It's not Cross Game, that's for sure. You know, it's definitely not that good. I don't dislike it. You know, I think that it's, in terms of this season, I think it kind of falls squarely on the bubble, I would say. But this one is like, you know, it has a decent story. And if you're a person that just kind of likes a lighthearted story that's about sports, you know, you'll probably like this. I actually think it's decent, so I'm actually going to pass this anime. But I don't know that I'd recommend it, actually. I think that there's enough baseball anime. Like, I would recommend Big Wind Up or Major or Cross Game or, you know, several of these other baseball shows before I would recommend this one. But
like say I'm passing, but I don't recommend it.
I'm passing it because the other shows in the season are crap like Robi Hachi, and, you know, it's just like, I just don't think it's a very strong season. So
if I haven't seen Touch, will I still be able to understand it?
Oh, absolutely. They don't make references to anything.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's really not bad. It looks fine. The music is good. You know, it's just, it hasn't had enough. If it had had some more baseball maybe in the first 3 episodes, I would probably have liked it more, because I would feel like the pacing was a little better. But through 3 episodes, I just feel like the pacing's a little slow. But it may pick up, so I don't want to ding it too hard for that. So you know what? Why not? Let's pass it.
Yes. Now this is gonna be a good story.
I pass it, but don't recommend it too much. It just
damn.
Go watch Cross Game. Like, the characters look, they look the same characters, you know, but like Cross Game will have you crying after the first couple episodes, and this one won't. So they're just not the same tier. But that's my opinion. Take it or leave it. Last anime is Ao-chan Can't Study, another Dojima special.
Also known as Midara na Ao-chan Benkyo ga Dekinai. Directed by Keisuke Inoue and produced by Studio Silverlink. This, especially just from the cover art, you could get a general idea. It's listed as comedy, but it warned of ecchi, and I got exactly what I was watching for. It is definitely a whole lot of ecchi. There's a lot of scenes where it's either what could be interpreted as either fan service or in general of the two main characters, this girl named Ao-chan and then this boy named Taka, where they get into some really very sort of sexual situation. And while it is a very ecchi show, or ecchi-driven show, there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of fun to it. It's not a kind of very creepy kind of ecchi or anything like that. It's very lighthearted. There's a lot of laughing. I would expect anyone to laugh, really, and I can really expect that. It wears what it is on its sleeve. It starts off with Ao-chan being introduced, and she ends up explaining that her name, where A stands for apple and O stands for orgy, because in her life she's grown up where her dad is this famous erotic novelist, And
Oh, that's this anime.
Did you say? Or did you say?
Yep.
Or I'm sorry. Did you say orgy?
yes, A is for Apple, O is for G, and
Yes!
Just kidding.
I thought you were gonna play the the dumpster truck.
but because of most of her experience and everything is from this father's erotic novels and various other sexual material, that she's convinced that mainly that only people think about sex all the time, and so that's the general material of what she has. And so she's decided that she wants to go into a university, get completely separated from her dad and everything else like that. And throughout the show, it's mainly just about where it opens up, or not opens up, but throughout the first episode, it gets it goes on for where Takumi ends up confessing to Ao-chan, and because of Ao-chan's upbringing, she completely misinterprets what he's actually saying. In her mind, she's imagining all these lewd situations. She's imagining things like him tying her in bondage, or him going, like, for instance, where she ends up being asked to bring something over, bring Takumi's clothes over because he hurt his ankle while he was in gym. And so while she goes over there, and at the time, the mother's like, "Oh, try not to talk to anyone, huh? She must be in heat."
What?
And yeah, because from his erotic novel and everything else, that for the most part, there's also a funny situation where she ends up trying, or where the father ends up trying to encourage the daughter to be a team in general. And so while they're at the infirmary, she ends up seeing her dad plastered to the glass, holding up two signs where one says "sex is possible," the other one saying "Dad is rooting for you." And so that was a pretty good laugh because he's freaking out.
Wow.
Yeah. And I have to say, beyond the various comedy points here and there, and it is really funny. It'll leave you thinking a whole lot.
You had me at orgy.
Oh my. But it's also a very interesting perspective where the two's communication is completely off point, because it definitely comes off where one could very much interpret that it would seem like the intro to a hentai, but given the melancholy of Suzumiya repeating weeks phase, because that's only, at least from the first 3 episodes, that at least continually happens, where they seem like the start of a plot line to general hentai. And it's actually relatively interesting that what makes it so interesting for me is that she's actually now, for the first time, learning what genuine love is, because he's not immediately going for "let's have sex," even though that's what in her mind, that's what she's interpreting, that anytime that she ends up talking to him, like for instance, in the second episode, there's a part where a classmate is talking about Takumi's dick, because as one would. And as Takumi ends up coming into the classroom, Ao-chan's eyes end up just slowly drifting down and focusing on his crotch. And then later, when they end up skipping class and they're on the roof sleeping, she's like, "Well, I don't know about his dick. He's asleep now. Now I can touch his dick."
What the hell? Wow. Hey.
Yeah.
You know what? If you got to go for it. Like, you can't half-ass it. Sounds like this anime doesn't.
Yeah.
She wants to touch his dick. I mean,
yeah. And then because he ends up starting to wake up while she's talking to herself about touching it, that he's interpreting it that she wants to touch his hand, and so and so it's like it's okay if you touch it. So my my main verdict on this is that surprisingly, I'm quite interested in seeing how this will turn out. This will either turn out into one big monster fire where there's generally no point, but you'll be laughing along the way. But hey, got to break up the monotony, so I'm passing it.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm glad because you had me at orgy.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? 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 I have exorcised the demons.
We now have 2 really raunchy, ecchi shows, by the way. Did you know that, Mandy?
Unfortunately, I do.
I consider it more of a cleanser with the hors d'oeuvres of etchiness.
All right. Well, maybe that's just the kind of season that we're in. So we've now passed 7 shows this season. We have Mix, Meisei Story, One Punch Man Season 2, Why Are You Here, Sensei, Sada-zan Mai, Midata, Ao-chan Can't Study, Fruits Basket, and what was that, Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer, I think is the last one. All right. Well, we're making good time. Well, let's knock out a couple mailbags here.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag. All right, guys, we got some mailbags. So let's read through them. If you want to leave a mailbag, you can do it on our website, AAAPodcast.com, along the top. We've been having a little bit of a lower amount of mailbag submissions, I would say, on the website. And I feel like it's because we haven't read a lot of mailbags in the last month or so because we've just been going so long on so many other things. So good time to submit mailbags, guys. Get in there, submit some mailbags, and we'll be sure to get to them really soon. First mailbag comes from Asterol, and they write, Hi, AAA crew. I just wanted to ask what anime expanded your scope of anime that you would watch. For example, mine is Sword Art Online due to me not watching anything subbed back in 2013-14 before it was dubbed. So anime that expanded your sort of scope of and things that you would watch. What do you guys think?
For me, I was thinking in the past, I think for me it was probably Samurai Champloo. Because before Samurai Champloo, I watched a lot of shoujo series, and it was either shoujo or whatever my friends were currently watching at the time. So I would go over to a friend's house and he would put on something while we were playing board games like Excel Saga or Cromartie High or Trigun. But I wasn't really searching for anime on my own. I was only consuming what either people gave me or shoujo series. But Samurai Champloo was the first one. I was like, I really enjoyed this. Maybe I should actually look for my own anime. So it did broaden my anime viewing quite a bit.
For me,
go right ahead.
It's tough because I find that I was generally willing to watch just about anything for the most part to start with, but I feel like certain shows have kind of eliminated sections of anime for me, if that makes sense. Like I would watch a show and it would just put me off of a certain genre. So I think for me it's kind of happened the opposite way, but if I had to give an answer, I would say that a show like Future Boy Conan, which came out in the late 1970s, showed me how incredible a series from that time period could be, even though it's really old. So I'm going to say that because, I'll never doubt a show from the 70s again until I've seen it, just because it's old.
For me, I would have to say that it wasn't necessarily a series, but for the longest time I had been under the impression that for the most part it was either very cartoony or very silly, sometimes goofy or shonen. But then there was one day where my older brothers decided to introduce me to Princess Mononoke, and for the longest time that's been one of my most favorite Studio Ghibli movies from that point. And that also showed me that there can be a lot of mature and very actiony kind of scenes to that. And that just attracted me to continue going on and watching more and looking for more like it.
Definitely. That's a good one. Next mailbag. This one's actually directed right at me, so I'll just read this one as well. Llama's Pajamas writes, Mitsugi, if you're having a self-destruct host harem deathmatch team, did you ever consider Yuno Gasai from Midai Nikki? This is a mailbag referring to an old episode that we did. And I have to say no because I haven't watched Midai Nikki, so simple answer. Next up. I mean, I have nothing else to add.
I can do the next one. Andrew W. writes, in the latest episode, Cosmo mentioned that old people with scratch-offs. Oh, no. This is an old one. I was on this episode. Old people with scratch-offs are the worst humans on Earth. I just have to say, I completely agree. I once worked at a convenience store, and these two old ladies would always come in together with 20 or more scratch-offs at a time. It asked me to check them all every time, even though I told them we have a self-check machine at the door. Of course, they'd always come in during rush hour as well and hold up the whole line while people were tired and trying to get home after work to relax. Because of this experience, I will never buy any lottery, so I guess I should thank them since I don't waste away my money on gambling. Anyways, just a story I wanted to share. Thanks for everything you do on making my anime addiction worse.
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny. He agrees. And I kind of agree, too.
So silly.
I don't know if I'd say the worst people on Earth, but, I mean, people have a right to spend their money on whatever they want. But to me, thinking about old people, I should say older people, right? Older people spending their money spending like their Social Security income on scratch-off tickets, which, small rant here, I pay into Social Security as do all of us, but none of us are going to.
How do you know it's Social Security? Maybe they're working.
Like 80-year-olds?
I work with an 80-year-old.
I mean, it's not that common. So generally the retirement age is 65. So I'm going to assume most of these people aren't working. But I think the people Kazuo are referring to are the ones that aren't working. But like, honestly, none of us are going to see a dime of the Social Security income that we pay into because that institution is going to collapse within the next 5 or 6 years as it's been projected. So, that kind of pisses me off. People ought to go, go invest your money or go play penny slot machines if you're addicted to gambling or go bet on football. I mean, because you're never going to win a scratch-off ticket. I just don't understand what people think. You're not going to win. So, like, why do it?
Oh, I hear a dog.
Yep.
Sorry. He's downstairs.
That dog wants something bad.
He is upset.
You're not pleased. All right, who's got this? What's that, Mandy? We got one more mailbag here. Why don't you read it, Dojima?
All right. This mailbag comes from the Creepster. He says, hello. I stopped listening to podcast in general for a bit, and now I am playing catch-up because I am way behind in all of them. I wasn't sure if you guys covered it since it's been a bit, but my question is this. What is the best and worst or worst case scenario that you guys have where characters should have clearly have died and then some, but the only reason they're alive is because of plot armor?
He said best and worst cases. I'm thinking, is there like the only best case that I can think of is like One Punch Man. That one makes sense because it's like the whole parody is, typical overpowered shonen protagonist.
Yeah, that's like the whole point.
That's the only thing like I can think of as the best case scenario. Oh man, I'm trying to think of a worst case, but all I can think of are a bunch of shonen series, and that one, I mean, that's expected.
Yeah, I mean,
because of like the target audience.
Yeah, it's like a lot of anime really don't have a serious enough story to even have characters dying in like realistic ways. So, I mean, only a show like Monster or something where like the setting is so just intently realistic that, because like, I mean, if you have a show like Gurren Lagann, like of course characters are going to survive ridiculous scenarios all the time. And then when a character does finally die, and like as in the case of Gurren Lagann, everyone's like stunned, like, "Oh my god, a character died! How could this happen?" Well, because they should be dying every episode, but in reality, they don't.
Yeah, the one that I was thinking specifically was in My Hero Academia, but it's like a spoiler. But that one really surprised me because I was like, that character completely like completed their story, and I was really surprised they lived. But shonen, so I get it. I don't know.
In Berserk, Guts fights.
Oh, that's a good one.
Berserk is somewhat realistic. You know, a lot of people die in Berserk. It's not. It's a fantasy story, but they are having for the first, at least the original anime, for the first 23 episodes or so, mostly reality based like battles and stuff. I would roughly reality based battles. But like, there is a scene where an injured Guts kills 100 soldiers by himself. He's like arrows sticking out of his legs and shit, and he kills 100 soldiers by himself. Probably not likely. It is kind of cool. It creates a legend, but is it really realistic? Probably not. But you can't just kill Guts like that.
Yeah,
he's the whole damn show. So
exactly.
Yeah,
he's the whole series.
My main answer, the first that came to my mind, Onizuka, and right at the beginning of the episode, he ends up getting shot, drags his ass over to school, manages to take a test in record time, and then goes unconscious for massive blood loss. But that would have been the end of the entire series if he just died at that point.
He also jumps off a 40-foot rooftop and lands on top of somebody's car and doesn't die. So that's not all that likely either.
Like everyone in JoJo, almost.
Everybody.
It's so rare. Characters do die, but man, they take a beating though.
That's for sure.
It takes forever.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for submitting your mailbags. We will try to get to them more regularly from now on, so please keep submitting them. And we have reached the end of the show. Well, this is a full episode. Very full.
Yeah.
If you want to find us on Twitter, you can find Mandy. Mandy, what is your Twitter account?
AAA_Mandy, and I spell Mandy with an I. So yeah, you can go there, and I talk about manga and anime, games, and just nerdy shit.
Dojima, do you have a Twitter account?
Yes, I do. You can find me at TentacleTimeInf, INN, or INF. I could not fit Eternal in there, but I rarely post in there. But maybe one of these days I'll start posting.
I am at Pope Mitsugi. Don't forget about that $10 off your orders of $50 or more promo code, which is AAA for use at JList or JBox.com. We'll see you guys next week on the podcast. I believe we're going to do a drinking game episode next week, so you're not going to want to miss that. It's been a while. And we'll see you next time on the podcast. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.